welcome. You're watching Money, Money, Money. I'm Samira Abdi. If you have ever bought something and you weren't completely satisfied with it, you'd know what an uphill task it is to get your complaint resolved. Many people I spoke to, in fact, say that often they end up giving up the pursuit of their complaint because it ends up being too time-consuming and laborious, sometimes even costly, but it needn't be so. So joining in today to arm you with all the tools that you need to resolve any sort of consumer complaints and also uphold your rights, we have Harshvardhan Roongta of Roongta Securities and Prakash Sheth, who's a very well-known consumer rights activist as well. Also with us today are two of our viewers, Sam Varghese and Subramanya Shastri. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for being a part of our show. And this is a subject that's actually very close to my heart, so I want to take it up quite a bit. But I want to start with you, Prakash, because you've been dealing with consumer complaints for I think over a decade now, about 11-12 years, right? What is the kind of success rate? I mean, what are the kind of problems that you face, and do they end up getting resolved easily?
The procedure is little tedious, it is little time consuming, but still law has given us this tool and we must use it. We must be vigilant towards our rights. We must have the instinct that if injustice has been done to me, if there is a provision in law which backs me up, I must go and utilize it. And you should be prepared with the evidence that you have. You should be firm enough in your representations to the forum. Forums are specially meant to be consumer friendly, and they are in fact. But the thing is that when your opponent, the shopkeeper from whom you purchase the goods which turned out to be defective, or from the service provider like mobile service provider or your car's mechanic or whoever, who gave you deficient services, who didn't fulfill the promises that he made and was below expectations, they may come up in defense of their case with the help of an advocate. Then you must be prepared, because you can't match an advocate. So therefore you must be prepared with proper facts, details and evidence in the form of document evidence. You must be able to convince the forum. Forums, as I told you earlier, are really consumer friendly, and the consumer case is meant to be tried in a summary way. Summary way means simple complaint, evidence. The other side will also bring his defense on record. It's all in the form of paper. Very little arguments take place, and it's not as tedious as the regular courts like a criminal court or a civil court. Once you are able to satisfy the forum that I purchased this thing, he promised me so and so, so and so, and he has not fulfilled his promises, like the goods and the services are defective, forum will definitely pass an order in your favor. They'll repair the injustice done to you.
So let me come to you guys. Sam, Shastri, have you guys ever faced problems where issues were unresolved?
Once I bought a high-end version of mobile, and that was having a warranty of 1 year. Soon after a day or two, when the warranty went off, the mobile stopped working. And I went to the shopkeeper, and also I write a mail to the mobile owners and all, but they didn't entertain that, and they told me that you have to pay 8,000 bucks, then only we will get it repaired and give it to you. So eventually I ended up in buying a new mobile.
So what is, tell us, I mean, what does a person in his situation do?
He must be prepared with the documents first. Does he have a bill for the mobile which he purchased, and does he have a proof that the mobile was not working properly or the services were deficient by the way of emails or some correspondence with the company, and some rejection of your demand from the company, like company stating you by email or SMS that we can't look into it, or as he said that the company demanded 8,000 rupees more. He should have some evidence. This is sufficient material, this ammunition is sufficient. He should straight away approach a consumer forum. Now when you approach a consumer forum, you must take care of three things. You must first of all find out the territorial jurisdiction that your case will go into which forum. If you are in Bombay, you purchase a cell phone in Bangalore, then you will have to first of all find out that which consumer forum will entertain your case, because if you go to the wrong forum, you may lose your time and efforts. Second thing, the pecuniary jurisdiction. The district forums are entitled to entertain cases where your demand about deficient services or deficient goods, including cost, compensation and harassment to you, does not exceed 20 lakhs rupees. If it is more than 20 lakhs and up to 1 crore, you have to go to the state commission. Every state has been provided a state commission. If it is more than 1 crore, you have to approach the national commission, which is only one for the entire country. And third thing is time limit. The moment your rights are denied, and the moment you are aware that your rights are denied, your cause of action begins. Within 2 years of that cause of action, you must file your complaint before the district forum.
Okay, but if you're unsatisfied with the verdict of the consumer forum, Is there any other approach that you can take
Good
as
question.
well?
It's a three-tier system. The first forum is the district forum. If you are aggrieved with the verdict of the district forum, there is a provision for an appeal, which you have to file within 30 days. Appeal lies to the state commission. If you are again dissatisfied with the verdict given by the state commission, then your appeal lies to the national commission. And if not, if you are not satisfied with the national commission, you can approach the Supreme Court.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Shastri? You were telling me earlier that you had a similar case as well, right?
Yeah. See, I availed a credit card some 15 years back, and I have been using the card for 5 years. And during 2005, there is some personal loan which I available in the card, and post which I had done a foreclosure. So they are not clearly told there is a foreclosure charges for this particular card. So I just closed the loan. Then I started getting statements for the difference amount which is to be paid. So I just left and disputed and saying that I am not going to pay. Recently, when I applied for a home loan, my banker called and said that you are a chronic defaulter in one of the banks, so that we may need to think to pass a loan to you. So what should I do in this case?
Well, one aspect very clearly is that there is a fine print which says that there is a foreclosure charge in case you foreclose the loan on your credit card. Now the highlight of the issue is when you were going in to take the loan, your grievance is that you were not being told about it, and hence you are not liable to pay for it. So what you can do is, one most certainly is that you have to get this off your back. Otherwise, these CIBIL records are always going to be flashing in your name. There is a mechanism again set up which is you do not even need to go to the court for this particular matter. There is a banking ombudsman scheme. You can write to the banking ombudsman, mention the details, attach all your statements, and you show to him that these are the particular grievances you have not been told about the charges, and you have already cleared your principal amount. And the banking ombudsman will most certainly look into the matter and pass an order. You may not even need to go for a hearing in that particular case. Okay. So you can all you can do is simply sit in your office or your residence, send a letter out with all the supporting documents. Okay. And if the hearing is necessary, you will be called for it. If not, then you will get an order without even going anywhere, and there is no cost involved whatsoever.
Yeah, so whether it's financial or non-financial, basically you have to put your grievance out there and make sure it's resolved. We need to take a break on that note. We'll come back in just a bit, but still ahead, what do you do if you have issues with goods that have been purchased online? What does one do with that? We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. Do stay tuned to Money, Money, Money. Welcome back. You're watching Money, Money, Money. Today the attempt is to awaken the consumer in you. If you've been wronged or aggrieved by any goods or services that you may have paid for or bought, well, you can always approach consumer forums, and that's what we're talking about today. So with us today, we have Harshvardhan Roongta of Roongta Securities. We have Prakash Sheth, who's a well-known consumer rights activist, and two of our viewers, Sam Varghese and Subramanya Shastri, are also with us. So we've been talking a little bit about, what is the process and how you go about it. So we've spoken a lot about financial as well as non-financial services and goods. But what about online? Would that be covered, Prakash, also under the consumer forum?
Yes, if you are able to pinpoint the address of the company from which you bought goods online, or any of its branch, then you are very much entitled to approach the district forum and file a complaint against the company. Okay,
Harshvardhan, I want to also talk to you about the bulk of disputes which happen actually in a lot of these Mediclaim policies. Almost every dispute, almost every claim is disputed. What are the options there? Who can one approach? How does one go about it?
Well, this is actually one product which is which I would say in financial world is one of the most controversial products. Either you have a claim which has been completely rejected, you have a claim which is partially rejected, or you get your claim. Now what happens is, in case your claim is not being paid in full and you believe that you should have received your claim in full, the first step that you have to do is apply with the same insurance company through the Grievance Redressal cell. So every insurance company has been mandated to have a cell which is going to look into the complaints of the policyholders and give a resolution to that. Once you file your complaint there, and there is a time limit of 30 days. If you do not hear from them, or if you hear from them and a reply that is given to them is not satisfactory, then you can proceed further. The first one would be to go to IRDA. That is what commonly policyholders are aware of, that they approach the IRDA and apply and say that my claim was rejected, please look into it. Now what happens is, when you go to IRDA does not have adjudication powers. which means when you write to IRDA and tell them that my claim has been rejected, what is IRDA expected to do? They cannot direct the insurance company to pay the claim because somebody has to look into the documents. They have to look whether the claim is payable or no, which IRDA as a regulator does not do. Now, in order to fill in this particular gap, the government initiated and set up an office of an insurance ombudsman. Now, the insurance ombudsman has adjudicating powers. Now, what you have to do is simply apply to his office, write in a simple complaint on a piece of paper. Whatever is the detail about your complaint, you simply write and send it across to them. After some time, they will write back to you. They will send a couple of forms, which is the formal format under which the complaint has to be filed. That form is basically form P1, P2 and P3. They're very simple forms, just putting them in order. Your complaint has been basically put into a format. That form, again with supporting documents, has to be submitted back to the insurance ombudsman's office, again within the jurisdiction in which the complaint falls. Then a personal hearing may be called or may not be called. The insurance ombudsman looks at the papers, calls for a hearing if deemed necessary, and passes an order. Now, there is no cost whatsoever involved in this entire process, and it takes normally just 1 or 2 hearings, and the order is passed. Most interesting part about this is the order passed by the insurance ombudsman is binding on the insurance companies, but it is not binding on the policyholder.
Okay.
So, in case if there is an order which has been passed against the policyholder, he still has the mechanism and he has the option open. He can go to the courts.
Why should I go to a consumer court rather than I can create an online request or online complaint through the site? Is it possible?
There are several NGOs and helplines which are affording these kind of facilities on their websites, that you lodge a complaint online with your facts and all. But this is not a statutory complaint. You can't claim it as a matter of right, and you can't claim that you have lodged a complaint with a statutory body. Statutory body is only district forum, the consumer forum. These NGOs or these websites which intend to help you genuinely, they only elevate your grievance to the concerned company, and by the reputation of these NGOs or the online websites, the companies, they look into it, and if possible they solve it. But it's not, I would say it's not a proper way to redress or grievance.
Whenever there is a dispute or whenever there is an issue with a company, I call up any company and they will give me an answer that you have been in an agreement with us. So this has been signed by you, you go through that agreement, and we will not be able to help you out. And the agreement basically is the problem. It contains of legal jargons which I don't understand. So what should I do in that case where I will not be able to understand clearly there is an agreement?
Well, this is a very common problem wherein there is an elaborate document which you sign before availing of any services, any loans or any goods. Now, in all respects, you would find that these agreements are one-sided. We've seen how the regulators are looking forward and looking up to this kind of a problem. We've seen RBI taking action against banks these days and guiding them at least through draft notes that please do not make agreements which are one-sided again.
Okay.
So regulators are taking conscious of this particular problem, and they're trying to address it. Now, when we talk about credit cards, we talk about some important loan documents. You will see that the regulator has mandated all the banks to give up a most important document, the MID.
Correct.
The language of the MID, they have even defined the font that are going to be used. So there's a particular size of the font which is to be used. The language is expected to be extremely simple, which a common man can understand. Now, this is the best that can be done. However, invariably you will find some documents which are legally drafted, which are not going to be understood, and you're duty bound to follow those. And when you go to the court is going to refer to those documents. There is nothing much that they can do about it. However, there is a shift that is happening, and obviously there is more left to be done, and regulators are taking cognizance of this particular problem and they're addressing it as far as possible.
Thanks very much, Prakash, for joining in and sharing your experience with us and also advising our viewers. Sam, Shastri, thanks very much. I hope this has helped you guys a little bit. Harsh, do stay on with us. We have a little more left on the show. There's more fun and games left. We need to take a break. Before that, here's a weekly question. Have you ever faced issues with any consumer complaints? Write to us at money@network18online.com. Tell us why and stand a chance to be a part of one of our future episodes. We'll take that break now, but still ahead is our viewer call-in segment, Can I Afford It? Welcome back. You're watching Money, Money, Money. Before we start answering our viewers' queries, let me hand it over to Manasvi Gilani, who joins us with Mythbusters.
Is your friend or a family member insisting you play a guarantor for their loan? Is that leaving you in a tizzy? Sweat not. Guarantors are required to provide a sort of security on behalf of the borrower to the bank. But while some banks do emphasize on having a guarantor for their scheme, some others are flexible. In examples shared by JagoInvestor.com, suggests that insurance from SBI Rin Raksha for their home loans does not require a guarantor. Also, in cases where you and your spouse are co-borrowers or EMI ratio is below 30%, no guarantor is mandatory. Even in cases of 40 or 45% EMI to net income, SBI may relax the guarantor rule. But don't be mistaken that being a guarantor, even if it's for a friend or a family member, isn't a risky task. When you provide guarantee for another individual's debt, it definitely comes with its risks. If the borrower fails to repay the loan amount or other dues to the bank, with the guarantor will make the good for the shortfall. And no, in case of borrower's default, there is no clause that protects you. According to bankbazaar.com, when you sign the dotted line and agree to become a guarantor, you are legally bound to pay off the debts if the borrower defaults. In case of default, the bank will approach you for clearing the debts. Your personal assets such as bank accounts, cash as well as property could be claimed and your credit standing will get affected, slimming down the chances of you getting a loan for yourself in future. So before you can opt to become a guarantor, read well before you agree to the terms and conditions put forth by the bank.
All right, Manasvi, thanks very much for that. Now on to Can I Afford It? If you're looking for a bit of extravagance in your life, well, we're the people to call and our expert will tell you if you can afford it or not. So joining us first up is Sharmila Chauhan, who calls in from Guwahati. Hi Sharmila, what's your question?
Hi, I'm Sharmila Chauhan and I'm 28 years old. I have an income of 45,000 per month and total expenses of 20,000 per month. And my savings come up to 4 lakhs. I don't have any insurance and I would like to know if I can afford to remodel my kitchen.
Okay, so you want to remodel your kitchen. How much is that going to cost you, Sharmila, and how are you going to pay for it?
It will cost about 1.8 lakhs and I'm planning to pay with my savings.
Okay, Harshvardhan, what do you think?
Well, Sharmila, kitchen is a very integral part and one of the most used areas of your house. So therefore, it is essential that you have it in proper order. Now, in case your kitchen is definitely in a state where it needs to be remodeled, you really do not have a choice. So you will need to go ahead and get it done. However, in case you're doing it from a desire point of view and the kitchen is completely operational, then I would suggest avoid going ahead right now, and because you should not be really using all your savings for it.
All right, so we assume for now that it's an approval on the premise that it's something that you really, really require, Sharmila. Thanks for calling in. Next up is Pranjal Prakash, who's on the line with us from Chennai. Hi, Pranjal.
Hi, I am Pranjal Prakash. I am 43 years old. I have an income of 89,000 per month. I have a total expense of 30,000 per month. And I also have a loan EMI of 23,000. I have a total saving of 6.5 lakhs and also have adequate insurance. I would like to know if I can afford a family trip to Tirupati.
Okay, well, that's a lovely thought, Pranjal. But tell us, how much is this going to cost you? How are you planning to pay for it from your savings?
It will cost around 1 lakh. I will pay for it from my savings.
Okay. Harshvardhan, what do you think he'll pay for it from his savings, he says?
Well, if you look at the monthly cash flows, they're pretty healthy. There is a surplus of 36,000 after we deduct all the expenses and the EMI. Besides that, there is a sufficient savings of about 6.5 lakhs. So I believe, yes, we can most certainly go ahead and plan the trip to Tirupati as desired.
All right, Pranjal, have fun. We hope you have a safe trip. Finally, we have an email query that has been sent to us by Abhishek Khanna, who writes to us from Lucknow. He says he earns about 49,000 a month and spends 18,000 of it. He has savings of 2 lakhs as well as adequate insurance. And Abhishek now wants to know if he can spend about 65,000 of his savings, Harshvardhan, for a mountaineering course.
Well, there is no real cost that you can associate with a particular course that you're doing. And because the benefits that you derive out of it are intangible and cannot be measured. And besides that, he's earning so that he could pursue what his interests are. So well, I would suggest, yes, go ahead and pursue the mountaineering course that you're doing. Just a point of caution here, Mountaineering otherwise as a sport is considered dangerous. So what I would suggest is that allocate some more funds and invest into an accident disability policy, so that in case of any mishap, at least he is adequately protected. And most certainly make a mention of this mountaineering course that you're going to undertake to the insurance company before you before they actually give you the cover, because this comes under the mandatory disclosures in the proposal form.
All right, Abhishek, so you not just have an approved from Harshvardhan, you also have some sound advice on insurance. Harshvardhan, thanks as always for joining in. Viewers, remember, keep writing to us at money@network18online.com. You can also find us on Twitter, write to CNBC TV18 News, and you can use the hashtag money. And remember that you can also log on to youtube.com to catch all our previous episodes. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.